everybody to our 11th Excursions virtual van trip with Isle of Wight this time, which we're really excited about. It was one on the list that we mentioned that we were really pleased to extend this fam trip, these sessions. So we've set them up at 10 AM for everybody in the hope that as lockdown lifts and you all start to fill up your diaries and are much busier, that you can still attend these with a cup of coffee before you head out for the day. It's exciting to be back, and in contrast to January, the sun is out. We have a roadmap, a route out of lockdown, and our hair is just a little bit longer. So we're really pleased to do this. I'm just going to introduce, so we've got with me today, I've got Karen, who's joined me again to help support on and facilitate the Q&As, and we have got Heather as well, who I just wanted to introduce you.
Hi everyone.
So Heather is working with us behind the scenes and heavily involved in Excursions 22 and the groups and what we're doing. So I'm just waiting for a couple more people to join in. So in terms of housekeeping, just a reminder, and you're all very well versed at this because you're all already on mute, which is great. And we do have a chat bottom on the, if you look at the bottom of your screen in the middle, it says chat. So that brings up a chat on the right hand side. If you've got any questions during the session, please do pop them in there, and then we will field those at the end. And I will just hand over to Karen to tell you how that's going to work.
Good morning, everybody. For anybody that hasn't joined before, you can, during the presentations, you can put a question into the chat box, and these will be asked at the end. You're very happy if you want to say the question yourself, just say that you do, and then we'll come to you during the Q&A session. But all the questions will be asked at the end of the session. Okay, thank you, and enjoy the presentations.
Okay, so now I'm going to hand over to Will Miles from the Isle of Wight to introduce the island. And just to say, there's so much great content on this one that it is going to run over the 45 minutes or so. So stay with us. There's some great stuff to hear about, and it is recorded if you did need to leave. Thanks very much, Will.
Good morning, everyone, from the Isle of Wight. Just looking at my door at the moment here in East Cowes, and it is sunny, beautiful. Can't wait to get out and about today. So one thing I'd just like to introduce some of the people around the room, and I'll introduce them as we come in. So we've got some of our transport providers here. So we've got Red Funnel, Wightlink, and Hovertravel, and Southern Vectis. We've also got some of our attractions, so from Isle of Wight Steam Railway, English Heritage, the Needles, and I'll be able to fund on and host any other questions on any other locations as we go through. But a few little bits about the island that you probably know or maybe don't know. The Isle of Wight is a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve, one of only 7 in the UK. I'm sure that somebody will ask what that is at the end of this, and I'm happy to share exactly what that is with you as we go into Q&A. Over 50% of the island is designated as Area of Outstanding Natural Beauty. We're home to Visit England's tourism superstar, who is Laurie Middleton of Hovertravel. We were voted the UK Holiday Destination of the Year by readers of BBC Countryfile magazine. And in the previous year, that was also voted as having the best beach, which was Sandown Bay, and the best village, which was Bembridge. We were voted the best UK destination for groups in 2020 by readers of GTO magazine. And one part that you may not know, this is the UK's sunniest county. That's why we all live here. That's why we all want to play here. And that's why you all want to visit. We've got 14 award-winning beaches, 200 plus miles of cycle routes, 64 miles of coastal trails, and we have clear blue sparkling on the sea. You can lose yourself in history. You can take trips around the various villages and towns. You can be at some amazing events such as Cows Week, Round the Island Race, and you can taste and enjoy some amazing local food and drink such as mermaid gin. If you've not done it, try it. It's amazing. You can also have some fresh seafood as it comes straight out of the sea. And almost all of our food on here on the island comes with 0 food miles. If I go to my fridge right now, it's got Isle of Wight milk in there, and that comes from a farm just up the road. So we're doing our bit for all the sustainability. We have lots of wildlife projects running here, and one of the major ones that's running at the moment is the reintroduction of white-tailed sea eagles. They've been absent from the island for nearly 350 years, and we've got these eagles on the island, flying around, going into the water, pulling fish out of the water, probably scaring our red squirrels just that little bit, but certainly they're here for the island. And later on in the year and into next year, we'll be reintroducing beavers onto the island as well. So all in all, the wildlife part of it all is huge. What I'd like to do is ask Elaine, she's got access to a video that I'd like to play and share with you, and then I'll hand over to Loretta, who's from Hovertravel, and she'll tell you a little bit about Hovertravel. So, Elaine, can we just, I'm doing my Professor Witty bit here, so can we just go for a video?
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
It's all right. And I know we all want to watch it a second time because it's really inspiring, but we'll share that to you another time. So that was the video. We're saying that the Isle of Wight is ready. We are readying ourselves to welcome visitors back when it's safe to do so. You know, we can invite day visitors back for now. We will be looking for April the 12th as a date for opening for certain accommodation and outdoor attractions. We're looking to May the 17th to be there. And as such, the island is ready. We're ready to welcome you back. So what I'm going to do is hand over to Loretta from Hovertravel, and Loretta will take you through elements of Hovertravel's part of this. Thanks.
Thanks, Will. Hello, everybody. I just thought I'd quickly mention it's Easter holidays. I'm a home worker, so do bear with my children if they do come in every now and again. I've got a quick presentation to share with you to talk to you about group travel and excursions with Hovertravel. So let's hope this works. Okay, can everyone see that? Everyone can see that, can they? I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm head of commercial at Hovertravel. I've been there for 14 years now, and there's never a dull moment on the Isle of Wight, and I never get bored of it. So I'm very passionate about the Isle of Wight. First of all, I just want to give you a bit of a background to Hovertravel and the hovercraft, if you're not already aware. So Hovertravel operate the world's only scheduled passenger hovercraft service. There are hovercraft services all around the world, many used by the military, many used by safety at sea, and non-passenger services. There's also unscheduled services in places like Sierra Leone. I don't think they've run for a little while though. But so we are the only scheduled passenger hovercraft in the world, and we're the longest running. So we've been running for over 55 years now. And we're very proud, especially on the Isle of Wight, that this was the hovercraft was invented on the Isle of Wight. It's designed in Britain, manufactured in Britain, just in Southampton, and of course operated in Britain. And as Will mentioned earlier with Laurie Middleton, we offer award-winning customer service. So Laurie won that award for in 2020. Still very proud of that, and all of our staff are very passionate about customer service for us. So I had a quick chat with one of our pilots, because we always refer to the hovercraft as flying. It's not a boat, it's not a plane, but why do we say flying? Now he describes it as it's being supported by a cushion of air, so it's not affected by the tides in the way that a boat would be. The lack of contact with the ground and the sea gives the hovercraft the ability to move in any direction, easily sliding sideways or backwards with little resistance. So that's essentially how the hovercraft flies. Pete Mulhern is one of our longest servicing employees. He started as a beach boy. He's now our one of our senior captains and our dedicated person ashore. So he often runs our excursions and our special charter trips that we do that I'm about to talk to you about. So we operate between Southsea and Portsmouth and Ryde, Isle of Wight, and the journey time is just under 7 minutes. Sometimes people find it, you know, they get a crossword out and literally within 7 minutes, I think that's the shortest time we've made it across from Southsea to Ryde before. So you don't even get a chance to do a lot of Sudoku either on board. We have a timetabled service for 364 days of the year, and a service that we can run up to 15 minutes a day, every services. We've got 78 seats per craft, and we also have wheelchair facilities. And all our landings are on beach or the pad, and we call them pad landings. So coach and group travel. We've seen a huge increase in the last 5 years of groups and coach groups travelling with us. It's becoming more and more appealing to drop passengers off at our Southsea terminal to add on a day trip for short breaks to the Isle of Wight. And as such, it's such a unique mode of transport that we often provide craft for just one group, so it becomes a private charter. We've got the ability to operate every 15 minutes, and we can add in services for groups even at our busiest times because we have 2 hovercraft. We do offer discounts for groups and the driver, and our coach park is just along at the D-Day Museum, which is just next door to the hovercraft terminal. If it's a short break, we have connecting coaches that we have a good relationship with on the Isle of Wight, and they can take passengers ongoing. Or people just prefer to stay and ride or have a day trip added onto their trip. Any luggage coming for a short break, all of our staff will help with the luggage onto the craft, and we've got very good experts in loading Yorks to go up the ramp onto our craft. So it's amazing to see how much luggage we can get onto the craft. We also can add on Isle of Wight attractions and restaurants to our group for our group's travel and excursions. So we can also add on an experience package too, which I'll talk about in a bit more detail. We do have account setup available, and all of our terminals are fully accessible. And that's something that's very important to us. So as well as the assistance on board, we can provide assistance with the onward transport on the island too. Hovercare, I mentioned the assistance with travel. Basically, Hovercare was introduced about 5 or 6 years ago and is now our award-winning accessibility initiative. All of our staff are trained to recognise and assist with both visible and hidden disabilities. We can provide as much or as little assistance as required. Our philosophy is that our service should be open to all. We have a ramp, we have steps, and we have dedicated seats for those that might need a little bit extra help on board and a little bit extra space. If our customers and our clients are just looking to have a quick few hours on the Isle of Wight, Destination Ride is a place that must be visited. It's a Victorian town. It's got unique independent shops, beautiful sandy beaches, as Will mentioned earlier, plenty of restaurants and cafes, seafront walks. And if people want to travel further afield, we're right next door to the bus and train station and coach park for further on island travel. So often we find that our groups will just stay for like 3 hours, others for a whole day, and others for short breaks too. So I mentioned earlier the hover experience. Now this is something again that was introduced a couple of years ago and has proved very popular. It offers the ultimate experience with the hovercraft. They're booked as private charters. Clients can experience the unique capabilities of the hovercraft, including the 360-degree donut, which is, you can see the image there on the slide. It offers a meet the pilot and a tour of the craft and the cockpit. We also partner with the Hovercraft Museum at Lyon Solent, where you can have a look around all the historical craft that have been used from the James Bond movie to the larger vehicle craft that were used across the Channel years ago to France. And this is where guests can really see with an experience how the hovercraft has moved from the past and is now into the future, which is what we now use. So it's a highly recommended trip, and until you've done it, you don't quite appreciate how different it is. The pilot talks through the experience. And as I say, you can see the skirt deflate and feel that while you're out on the Solent. So we effectively float like a boat to the quick turns and the manoeuvrability of the hovercraft. The hovercraft experience are ideal for corporate charters, special events, birthdays, or as I say, just simply groups that want to add on a 20-minute experience to their trip. We can add on souvenirs to that. We can add on drinks receptions, and of course we can add on Isle of Wight attractions to that too. We've often had, I think we've had a handbag designer. We've had many of the larger national coach trips using the hover experience. And as I say, it can be a simple 20-minute add-on to your trip, or a longer 2-hour visit with excursions. The other thing that we can do with the hover experience is land in alternative areas. So we can take you to a private beach. We can take you to different areas around the Isle of Wight. And this has often been used for weddings and receptions, anniversaries, special occasions. And we can arrange that for you. And that's it. So any questions, and thank you for your time.
Okay, thanks Loretta. That's really interesting stuff. Can I just say, I have actually been on the hover experience, done the donuts in the Solent. It's great. We'll move on to Mercedes from English Heritage. So Mercedes, over to you.
Hello everyone, good morning. I'll just share my screen. Here we go. Everyone can see that okay? Hello? Can everyone see that okay?
Yeah,
okay, sorry. No, I've lost the picture of you. How wonderful. Okay, so again, good morning. I am the Travel Trade Sales Manager, English Heritage. I actually am the National Travel Trade Sales Manager. So I look after over 120 of the English Heritage properties that would be open in a normal non-COVID year. I'm only going to talk about the two today that are on the Isle of Wight. So that would be Osborne House and Carisbrooke Castle. I do just want to touch a little bit on COVID. Some of you may have actually visited us with your groups last year, and we put in place lots of important COVID secure measures so that you would feel safe when you came. We have obviously updated all these again. And if you are a member of English Heritage, just with your family, you probably realise that we actually opened some of our properties yesterday for local visits. So any of the people that are living on the Isle of Wight can actually already visit our properties that are open yesterday. What we did do over the time that we've been shut, because in fact we've used it very wisely in a lot of our properties, is a lot of upkeep to our sites. especially Osborne House, which has magnificent gardens, and we could not just shut down Osborne House and the gardens. And in fact, our gardeners in all our properties were the one team that was not furloughed at all since last year. The same for the conservation and maintenance of our sites. For English heritage, it's very important. We've got lots of artefacts. We've got actually over 500,000 in our different properties, and we've been busy repairing roofs. We've put in new toilet blocks, coach and car parks have been updated, fire alarms, which are not very glamorous, and we've even gone with smart meters to make ourselves a little bit greener. You'll also see the donkey from Carisbrooke in there, which I'll talk about later. And of course, the stable staff stayed to look after them even when we were closed down for COVID. Opening back up, as Will mentioned, as I say, we have opened some properties already for local visits only. Of course, if you are group travel organisers and you turn up in your own transport, we can look in to welcome you from April. So that will cover Osborne and Carisbrooke. The sites will have takeaway food available then, and the on-site shops will also be available. We are following all the government guidelines in the roadmap open, and we just ask if you come in slightly bigger groups to follow the rule of 6. By the 17th of May, that's the most important date for most attractions. If everything has gone to plan, we should be opening 23 more of the English heritage sites, and then Osborne and Carisbrooke will be able to open the interiors as well. If you are on our mailing list, you would have already received probably about November last year, a mailing with the link to our trade admission price and site opening downloadable brochure. This year, unfortunately, we're not printing a paper version due to various budget constraints, as I'm sure you can imagine, with COVID, but this is available online for you to download. And as you notice, we have actually got 2-year pricing. What happened was we have kept this year's pricing. So 21-22 was last year's pricing. So we didn't go up, which is great. And then the year after, we will go up the normal rate that we would do. But it does allow you to plan for the next 2 years. Inside this trade admission prices and site opening brochure, we have all of the links to who you need to book with. And we also have the opening times for this season coming up. If you haven't already signed up to our e-trade newsletter, please do go on the website and go under the group visits page and sign up. And I also will put it in the chat later, so you've got the email. So now on to our 2 sites. Carisbrooke Castle is the first one that I'd like to talk about. It is an amazing site right in the middle of the Isle of Wight. And we have closed it quite a bit over the season, but it's allowed us to do a lot of the update to the work that we've needed to do. It's been an artillery fort, a king's prison, and also a royal summer residence. So you probably know it most famously for where imprisoned Charles I, just before he was there for 14 months and he was executed in 1649. But also the other royal link was Princess Beatrice, who is Queen Victoria's youngest daughter, who also lived there. And then, of course, our famous donkeys. The donkeys, unfortunately, due to COVID restrictions, aren't allowed to pull up the water wheel because that's what they're there for, normally on a non-COVID day. So hopefully, come after June, we will be able to allow them to demonstrate again how they pull up the water in the well, because Carisbrooke was built high up on a hill and there was no natural water to carry up, so they just built the well down. I'm going to just show you a very short video of Carisbrooke and then I'll move on to Osborne. And our second property, Osborne House. Now, we've seen a couple of images in the other people's presentations because we do work with all the transport services. And this was Queen Victoria and Prince Albert's family home. So she actually spent a lot more time here than ever at Buckingham Palace, because this is where she wanted to be with her children to grow up and really enjoy being a family. As you can see, I'm going to show you a little video of the actual site, but I do want to say that when you do come to Osborne House, don't forget to try our very famous Victoria sponge, which is obviously named after Queen Victoria. I'm just going to show you a short video as well. One thing that should just be mentioned about Osborne House is that during the winter, we do close down most of the days and open at weekends, but we also open 2 days a week, especially for any form of group travel. We are hoping this winter that we might add an extra day in, so do keep an eye on our e-newsletter that we will be sending out with any updates about the tours. So that just leaves me to say thank you very much for listening. We're extremely grateful for all of our trade partners and the Group Travel Organisers that have been visiting us, and we're looking forward to welcoming you back.
Thanks, Mercedes. Appreciate that. I can also say I have tried the Victoria sponge. As you can probably tell, it is a bit amazing. Right, moving on to Sarah Dawson's from Red Funnel, and she'll tell you all about the Red Funnel services. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you, Will. Bear with me just one moment. I will share my screen with yourselves. Okay, can everyone see my screen? Excellent, thank you. Okay, so thank you for attending and for taking an interest in our beautiful island. I'd like to talk to you specifically about the journey today. For us, it's not just a means to an end, getting from A to B. It's part of the journey, the experience, the site excitement, and all part of the trip as a whole. As Will said, my name's Sarah Dawson. I'm the Sales Development Manager here at Red Funnel. We are the original Isle of Wight ferry company, and we've been operating for nearly 160 years. We don't go anywhere else, and so we care about the communities and the industries and the markets that we serve. We are as dependent on our amazing island as it is on us, and we are very proud of that service, that history, who we are and what we do. So in the past, we've looked a little bit like this with paddle steamers and hydrofoils. We've even had tugboats that have assisted with the Titanic on her way out of Southampton waters on her fateful maiden voyage. We left her there. There was nothing else was to do with us, I might add. And today we look a little bit like this. We have 3 roll-on, roll-off wrapped class ferries, which have easy loading for all vehicles, no central casement, nothing in the way. So there's no turning around, just drive on, drive off. 2 vehicle decks with simultaneous loading. So there's a lower deck for the larger vehicles such as coaches, lorries, minibuses, and for smaller vehicles such as cars, we've got the upper car decks, and we operate between Southampton and East Cowes. We also have 3 high-speed catamarans, our red jets. They're smaller, faster, passenger-only vessels, and with a 25-minute crossing that operates between Southampton and West Cowes. Finally, the newest addition, our red kestrel, which is our dedicated freight vessel, which importantly for yourselves means that we have more space on our vehicle ferries for other large vehicles such as our coaches, minibuses and the occasional caravan. So our vehicle ferry, operating 365 days a year, hourly in the summer, every 90 minutes in the winter. It's a 60-minute journey that travels down Southampton Water and across the Solent, with beautiful cultural, historic and even industrial sites along the way. We've got things like Calshot Castle, Fawley Oil Refinery, Netley Abbey, and many, many varied boats and vessels, commercial liners, pleasure crafts, cruise liners, lots of things to look out to. And we come into East Cowes, which is most famously the home of Queen Victoria's Osborne House, as you've already seen, and also the home of our very own Will Miles, although I don't know if he's taking tours right now. And then from there, we have easy access to the rest of the island and everything it has to offer. So what can you expect from our vehicle ferry? We have comfortable indoor passenger lounges spread across 2 decks with varying different seating styles, more relaxed airlines, tables for eating, sofas and benches, something to suit all. It's light and airy with big windows so you can enjoy the view and the sights. It's air conditioned and easy to manoeuvre around the vessel and access all the facilities, and even with an outdoor sun deck so you can soak up the sun and the refreshing sea breeze, perhaps catch the beautiful sunset across the Solent at that time of day. We have lift access from all the passenger decks, so especially those who may struggle with the stairs will find things a lot easier. For coach groups that know they have accessibility requirements, we can load coaches close to the lift on the car deck, and we can even leave room for things like integrated ramps and lifts, although prior notice is very much advised for that. But the remainder of the ship is flat and is very easily navigated by all. To experience the Solent in style, passengers can upgrade to our Signature Lounge, which is a quiet, contemporary, adult-only area with table service, enhanced Wi-Fi and enhanced food and beverage, and that's on the upper passenger decks to really make the most of those panoramic views. We also have our onboard shop with Sainsbury's to go, which is new to our fleet and sells a range of products. Further to that, we're known for our food and drink offering. We have a wide range of hot and cold food, sandwiches, salads, pasties, pub classics, and our legendary red funnel breakfast. We have sweet treats, hot and cold drinks. Unfortunately, that is a little bit limited at the moment due to COVID, and so we are still offering hot and cold food, but it is on a takeaway basis for consumption on our outer car decks. But we do hope to return to our full offerings in the future as soon as restrictions allow. Alongside all of these things, are the standard facilities you would expect. You've got toilets, disabled facilities, baby changing facilities. Not terribly glamorous, but they are important and definitely worth a mention. And last but not least, extremely importantly to us is customer safety. Alongside our well-trained caring staff, we have printed, digital and announced safety information on all of our vessels. And as you might expect, we've introduced a number of different COVID-specific elements very recently. We've got enhanced cleaning procedures, limited onboard capacities to aid social distancing measures, limited and directed movement on board. Face coverings are mandatory on our vessels as well as in our terminals. And we've got hand sanitizers and hand washing facilities that are easily accessible. And on to our Red Jets, which is our foot passenger only service, with frequent sailings that are just 25 minutes from Southampton to West Cowes. This is another option for groups and even coach markets if used in conjunction with other transport arrangements and connections, which are very close, such as trains, buses, airports, etc. Most of our Red Jet sailings are turn up and take off with no prior booking, but prior liaison for groups does make it easier for us to facilitate a smooth crossing. We can also do charters as well. The Red Jets are easy for all passengers to board with wide gangways and easy to navigate ramps. It's a predominantly seated service due to the speed at which it operates, and the passenger cabin is quiet, comfortable with anti-vibration and all the bells and whistles, aircon, Wi-Fi, charging points, refreshments when restrictions allow, and toilets. And as always, safety is our highest priority, and the same high standards that are present across our vehicle ferry and our terminals operate on the Red Jets also. So we know that the island has a lot to offer in terms of attractions and events, but what can we offer? We can offer varied travel options with hundreds of sailings, times, combinations of travel. We can really provide what you and your customers and groups are looking for. We have excellent, friendly customer service. We've got a team who are really proud of what they do and the experience they offer and keep safety in every aspect. We have a great reputation and award-winning customer service, both as a company and our individuals. Like Hovertravel, we have a staff member who's won the Visit England Tourism Superstar. Ours was 2018, a gentleman termed Dancing Jim, who is pictured there and enthusiastically waves and dances his customers onto the ferry for us. We have a great reputation and work in partnerships, whether that's individuals or leisures, groups or business, and with the ease and comfort and confidence in all aspects. But what makes us special? We have a dedicated groups and coach department. Our sales team has over 100 years of combined experience. We're absolutely passionate about the customer experience and the customer journey, not just on board, but from the inquiry to completion, the booking, and hopefully to rebook. Over the last year, we've had to adapt increasingly quickly to changing situations with cancellations, requests, amendments, rebookings, last minute changes, and we've been receptive to all of those things, making things work in whatever circumstance. We have an understanding of the coach and group specific logistics. We listen to your needs. Over the years and our backgrounds and experience, we've built a knowledge of these, and we understand the intricacies of organising groups or coach travel, which are different to a lot of markets and generally tend to be more complex with differing consideration, drivers' hours, feeder coaches, different groups, different needs and wants. We have flexibilities in our options. We're adaptable to last minute changes or anything that's necessary. And accessibility, as mentioned, coaches with ramps, requirements for lifts or access, different sized and decked coaches, all things that we have experience of dealing with, amongst many other things. And we have an understanding of our destination as well as the market. We understand what our island has to offer and what groups and our coach markets might want from that. And we can help facilitate those things. We have great relationships with suppliers. We can pass on information, contacts, advice, and even ticket options. As I mentioned, we have exceptional customer service, and that helps build great long-lasting business relationships. We have hundreds of coaching group operators that work with us directly and indirectly. Some of them travel multiple times weekly, some of them less regularly, day trips, short breaks, extending visits. And we work hard to maintain all of those working relationships with our partners. All of this with the ease of booking, flexible payment terms with low or no deposits, cash or credit options available, and great deals and pricing structures. This is a combination that we feel makes us really special, and we hope you do too. And we look forward to welcoming you on board in the future. Thank you very much. And of course, any questions at the appropriate point.
Thanks, Sarah. One thing I'd like to say is that I have experienced the Red Funnel breakfast, and there's a theme coming along here. I was with Mercedes saying about the Victoria Sponge. Red Funnel breakfast is not to be missed because I do that as well. And I do like a breakfast on Wightlink as well. So there is a theme coming along here, which is for me. So what I'm going to do now, thanks for that, Sarah. I really appreciate it. Steve Backhouse is the general manager at Isle of Wight Steam Railway, and he's got probably the best backdrop picture that I've seen in a long time. And I'm going to hand over to Steve and let him explain all about the Isle of Wight Steam Railway to you. You're on mute, Steve. You're still on mute. Can you?
Let's try it again.
Oh, there we are. There we are.
Two things at once. Let's, right. Come on. Okay. Sorry, it would be my machine. Just takes a second here. Hello folks, as Will said, I'm Steve Backhouse, the General Manager of the Isle of Wight Steam Railway. I think I have the best job in the world and get to play with the world's best train sets every day. So a little bit about us. We started 50 years ago, almost to the day. Our 50th anniversary is in a fortnight's time. We run a 5-mile heritage line through beautiful Isle of Wight countryside. At one end, at Smallbrook Junction, we connect to the Island Line between Ryde and Shanklin. We run through to Wootton at the other end, so not too far from Osborne House or Fishbourne.
Sorry, there's no presentation. You're not sharing?
Oh, I've shared. Let's try that again. Okay. Is that better? Can you see me now? Can you see my presentation?
It's still black. It might just pop up in it. There it is. It's back there now.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, but our main station is in the middle of the line at Haven Street, which we'll tell you about in a minute. So we have beautiful countryside, beautiful steam locomotives, beautiful stations. We've had to pick out one thing which makes us very special, and that's our carriages. We think our carriages are really unique and very special. So if you've travelled on another steam railway around the country, the chances are you've been travelling on a 1950s or 1950s carriage that's been redundant and put into use by the Heritage Line. All our carriages ran on the Isle of Wight and are at least 100 years old. Our oldest one goes back to 1864, and you'll travel on a unique wooden-bodied carriage with separate compartments. It's really back to what travel was like in the golden age of travel 100 years ago. To give you a bit more detail on that, we have two classes of train, standard and first class, and almost all our train is into separate compartments, like you can see the pictures there. And that's been brilliant this year. For social distancing, we've been able to allocate one compartment per household group. So even if there's one or two passengers, you can have a whole compartment all to yourself. Or obviously it's been very, very popular with families having their own compartment for their journey. We also have, you can see down the bottom left, a couple of our larger saloon carriages, and they've been very popular with groups as well. So in normal times, our compartments normally hold 8 comfortably or 10 at a push. And again, that works very well for groups. We can pre-book compartments for you. And again, our open compartments are really good for a whole coach load of people who can travel together. The larger ones will hold 25 to 30 people. And there's a connection between the two. So that's our carriages. And we'll just show them in action. So here's them running on the line together with a 150-year-old locomotive. Now the key claim to fame on this particular train, I'll just let it go by. So every carriage you've seen there has been completely restored. So these were taken out of service in the 1930s and they got sold off around the Isle of Wight to become chicken sheds, farm stores, beach huts, you name it. They were sat in people's gardens. And over the last 50 years, we've rescued them, done them up, take about 4 or 5 years to restore each, and they look absolutely stunning when they're running on the line, and an amazing experience to travel in. We've got another about 20 sat in a shed waiting to restore, so we've got another 100 years worth of restoration projects ahead of us. So a little bit about Haven Street Station. We think we're much more of a day out than just a train ride. So there's a lot to do and see at our main station at Haven Street. So that's where most of our groups start and finish their journey, and that's certainly the most convenient location. So round at our station, we have lots of facilities, as you'd expect, our shop and cafes, our workshops, which you can go in and see the craftsmen restoring our carriages, and a really nice woodland walk if you just want to get away for a little bit of peace and quiet. But we also have two kind of key attractions at Haven Street. One is our Train Story Discovery Centre. It's our large undercover museum where you can see all the locomotives, carriages that aren't running on the line, and hear about the history of the steam railway and railways on the Isle of Wight. It'd be fair to say that most of our visitors aren't rail enthusiasts. We get some, but 95% of people who visit us don't have a particular interest in steam trains, and we try and make everything as accessible for them as possible. We don't try and use lots of jargon. It's a very accessible space which people can enjoy and find out a bit more about what we're like. Also on site, we work with people called Haven Falconry. They have part of our site, and they run 2 free displays out in our field at 11:40 and 1:40 each day. Really popular with all our visitors, including groups. And if you're planning a group visit, do try and include one of them. It's really one of the highlights of the visit as well. So just a little bit of practicalities. We normally say to allow about 3 hours for a visit. The actual train ride takes an hour, but there's plenty to do around about the station, and please don't rush of time with us. We do have some groups visit us in Osborne in the day, which is possible if you've got a tight schedule as well. I think we offer a great value for groups, a hefty discount for groups booking in advance, and we'll make sure that we've got allocated compartments for everybody in your group. So at the moment we can make sure you're separated out into household groups. And usually as well, we are very accessible. You can park on the level in our car park, get onto our trains. We've cunningly adapted some of our carriages suitable for wheelchair users, having sort of hidden compartments and doors to make them very accessible, which works very well. Again, we have ramps and lots of people on hand to assist should that be needed. Finally, lots of information on our website. Do give us a visit. And my colleague Lewis King is always on hand to deal with lots of group inquiries. She'll give you a hand. So we hope you enjoy coming to visit the Isle of Wight. I've only lived here a year, but it's already, I'm a big fan of the island. It's a very special place to live and work, and the railway is absolutely too. So we hope you can come and visit us sometime. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Steve. I love going to the Isle of Wight Steam Railway. It's an amazing place to visit. And when all of us, when we live on the island, we don't tend to get off the island because people say, can I come and stay with you for a couple of weeks in the summer? Can I do this? Can I do that? So you don't tend to get away on holiday because people want to come. They always want to go to the Steam Railway when they come and visit us here. So we know it really well. So moving on to Travis. Travis works for Wightlink, and he's going to tell you a little bit about the service from Portsmouth and from Lymington onto the island. So over to you, Travis.
Thank you, Will. Cheers. I'm just going to share my screen and hopefully it goes as well as everyone else's. So just basically, I'm just going to run through why you would choose Wightlink to take your group over to the Isle of Wight. I mean, the Isle of Wight's a fantastic place, and just as a caveat, when I usually do these presentations, I'm just telling people how good the island is in hope that they choose Wightlink to get there. So this is a bit of a skew. So the first thing that's top of our priority list really is our green agenda. And over the last few years, we've invested £45 million into our service. 35 of those was in a hybrid ship called the Victoria of Wight, which is now our flagship vessel. And she's absolutely stunning, if I do say so myself. Very accessible for coach groups to get on board. We've got lifts to every level, and it runs, as you guessed, being a hybrid, it also runs on electricity, and it's one of the smoothest ships we've got in our fleet. Just anecdotally, I did have a call off one of my customers asking me why we were delayed, and then he realized when he popped out of the loo that we were already moving, but he couldn't feel the motion of the ship. So we do a lot for the green agenda. Something that Will mentioned earlier is the food miles on the island, and everybody's very keen with island produce, and we've really tapped into that. And we offer a range of onboard refreshments, coffee, sandwiches, cakes that are all sourced from island suppliers. So our food mileage is very low. We also have links with the garlic farm and other producers on the island, so you can buy gifts on board as well. So they're all available. One thing that we're also doing is reducing the amount of waste that we put into the environment. So our cups are now fully recyclable. We have wooden cutlery instead of plastic single-use cutlery. So we're very, very focused to try and make sure that we're one of the greenest operators to the island, because as Will also mentioned, it is an area of outstanding natural beauty and it's very keen on its green agenda as well. So as Will alluded to, we have 3 routes, 2 of which are vehicle ferry routes. They operate from Lymington to Yarmouth and Portsmouth to Fishbourne, and we have a passenger only service from Portsmouth Harbour Station over to Ryde. Our typical vehicle crossings are 45 minutes and our fast cat is around 22. If you do catch the last sailing of the day on Lymington, you'll probably find that that shaves down to about 35 minutes, maybe half an hour, depending on how keen the crew are to get home. It's excellent connectivity from across the UK. We find a large proportion of groups coming from Birmingham, from the Midlands, also from the east and from the west, and we're very easily linked to, and we also have railway connections at both our Lymington port and our Portsmouth Harbour port. So if you are arranging foot groups that are coming from London or coming from the west, then rail connections are just not a problem, and we're quite happy to deal with that. And we also offer conjoined tickets with the railway as well. We also link a lot of history, and this is not only on the island but also from our ferry terminal at Portsmouth. We have excellent relationships with those attractions on the island as well as those off the island. So if you are arranging group trips for schools, we have a lot of curriculum relevant attractions that could start the tour or end the tour in Portsmouth, as well as included in the tour on the island. We also have the option of, we've worked with a group tour operator before. They wanted to give their coach driver a day off when they were doing a week's trip to the island. So we arranged the Royal Tour, and the Royal Tour included trips to Carisbrooke Castle and then via the railway and the Fast Cat over to the Mary Rose Museum so they could see the Mary Rose and some of the historic dockyards. So we can work with all group organisers just to offer a day trip off the island to go back to the island, as well as tie into attractions on the island as well. So we feel that we're very well connected. We've also got excellent facilities on board and at our ports as well. Like I've said, we've put a lot of investment into the customer experience and the customer journey. We provide our own brand refreshments in our Wight Taste outlets, and in there you'll find a lot of local produce, as I've said before. But we also have a brand name as well. So if there are those travellers that are looking for the brand, we have Costa facilities and Costa Grab and Go available at most of our ports, as well as on board the Victoria of Wight. She has a Costa outlet as well. So if you did want to grab a taste of the Isle of Wight once you visited, which I'm sure you will, because some of the produce is absolutely fantastic, you can pick up a gift at one of our outlets or on board for the group to take home. So we try to offer as much peace of mind as possible, and this is what's relevant for group tour operators. We are the leading coach supplier over to the Isle of Wight. We are the market leader in coach group trips, and we're quite used to taking all types of groups, right from school groups, primary school age, all the way up to the tying-in groups that go to the likes of Warner Holidays and the Turkey and Tinsel, as we like to say. We offer a managed service to all our group operators, and this is something we're very proud of. What we do is we book 12 months in advance. We know coach operators work much more in advance than that. But what we try and do is, with every request we get in, we collate them all, and then we make sure that everyone gets a fair opportunity of a sailing they've requested, because obviously we are a floating box, space is finite, but we don't just portion all of the coach space to our regular or larger customers so they get the prime sailings. What we try and do is share it out so everybody gets a fair allocation of space. We have credit facilities available. We can offer a dedicated account manager along with access to our sales support team, and they operate 7 days a week. So you've always got that peace of mind that should something go wrong or should you need to make contact, we're just at the end of a phone. We have decades of experience, and like I've said, we are so used to working with groups both on foot and by coach. We have excellent facilities on board. We can arrange accessible links to the lift, similar to the red funnel presentation. Should you have any special requirements, so long as you give us the notice, what we can do is we can ensure that your group have a seamless trip to the Isle of Wight. So that's pretty much it from us. It would be great to see you, and we hope we see you soon. We've been missing groups like you wouldn't believe, and hopefully if the roadmap is stuck to, we'll see you in the summer.
Thanks, Travis. For me, coming out on the Wightlink ferry, coming out of Portsmouth Harbour, as you turn the corner and see the Isle of Wight in the distance, that's just the part for us coming home. For you, alongside the other routes coming out from Southampton and then for Leamington, your holiday and your trip starts as soon as you step on board. So that's a major part for everything that's coming to the island. We have great connectivity to get here. So thanks for that. Moving on, Mike is in his office there at the Needles. So I'm going to hand over to Mike, and he's going to tell you all about the Needles landmark attraction out there in that faraway place that we call the West Wight.
Yeah, good morning everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. I am aware that there's a bit of a sound problem, so if you can bear with me on that. We tried to sort it, but there's a bit of a hiccup this end of the island. Anyway, welcome to the Needles landmark. As you can see behind, I'm sure that every one of you in the screen has probably either seen the Needles on the TV or have been here for visits. So hopefully I can help today to make you understand a bit more about what we do here. Firstly, my name is Mike Callander. I'm the Deputy General Manager here at the Needles Landmark. So I've been here quite a number of years. This is the first Zoom talk I've done in connection with Visit Isle of Wight with Will. But, although we have had the pleasure of meeting them here on site, and I believe we've had a chairlift ride as well. So a bit about the Needles Landmark. It's actually owned by a company called Heritage Attractions Limited. They own other sites as well, like Snowdon Mountain Railway and Land's End. And here on the island, they own the Needles, and our sister site now is Sandham Gardens at the other end of the island at Sandown. Here at the Needles, the Heritage Attractions has owned it around 20 years. It's become one of the most popular visitor attractions on the island for many years now. We draw in around 400,000 visitors on a normal year. Obviously with the virus that's going around, it's had a big hiccup on all of us, so we're trying to manage through. It is a very popular place, and the reason it's the main landmark is for several reasons really, but the one main one is the Needles Rocks and Lighthouse itself. It's probably the most photographed place on the island. Any news coverage you see on TV or anything to do with the island, quite often they will show the shot of the Needles Rocks and Lighthouse first to draw you into the fact that you've arrived here at the island or to do with the island. Many people come here for reasons of the world famous multicoloured sand cliffs here. We're famous for 21 different shades of coloured sands. They're all natural. Nowadays we don't actually collect all the sands just all over the cliff and areas like that. We collect it in safe ways of cliffs that's naturally fallen to the beach at the end of each season. We collect some of that before the remainder of the sand that's fallen is washed out to sea. The sands date back to millions of years ago in time. That's right from where the chairlift base on the base station on the beach is around 34 million years in time, up to the white chalk cliffs where the lighthouse is around 65 million years. So when you walk on our beach from the chairlift to the white chalk cliff end, you're actually walking through millions of years in time in around 10 minutes in distance in time. So the coloured sands are famous, and they also date back to Osborne House, where Queen Victoria, she was presented with some bottles back in 1860, and I believe I'm right in saying those bottles are still in the cottage there today, containing the Allen Bay coloured sands. I've had a thumbs up there from Osborne House, so yeah, so that is the case. So filling of sand souvenirs has been a thing of history really. We've carried it on through the years. I'm aware of only two occasions before I started here where we had to stop, and that was due to the First and the Second World War. But obviously due to this virus, that's created another shutdown, and the site has been closed since the 4th of November. Since the 4th of November, we've been preparing as hard as we can now to make the site here, the Needles Landmark, as safe as we can to all of our visitors that we hope that's going to come and join us this year. Well, we bring lots of cars in, lots of coaches, and other forms of transport like Southern Vectis arrive here. For coaches, there is a special coach park for coaches. When they drive down, they carry on left and park up into the coach park, and we try and designate them in. We give them lanes to drive in, and we also look after the drivers, as in try and make sure that they're happy with their parks, that the customers are out safe. We also cater for wheelchair people on the coaches, or anyone with disabilities. And that is that if there is a situation like that, the main area when they arrive on the site, the roundabout, they can park there just to drop off the disabled first before they go up to the main coach park and park up. Okay, I'll try and keep it to the main points first before we go further, and that is the main points and reasons people come here is for the lighthouse, for the coloured sands, and not forgetting the famous chairlift. If you've been here before, I'm sure you've had a chance to go on the chairlift to the beach and back. It takes a nice gentle ride down, around a 4-minute ride down to the beach. The cost to visitors this year is going to be £8 for an adult return or £6 for a child return. So there is also on site what we've got called as a Super Saver ticket you can purchase when you arrive on site, and you can get the Super Saver ticket from the visitor centre or the chairlift when you arrive. Super Saver ticket, what happens there is you've got a book with 12 tickets in. You pay £9 in money for that book, but each ticket's valued at £1 each for the ride. So you pay £9 for your book of Super Savers, but you get the value of £12 back to you. So if anyone's arriving here either by coach or by car, I recommend to consider one of their first areas to go to would be the visitor centre or chairlift to pick up your booker tickets and use them throughout the site where you can. There are a couple of the sections you can't use them on site, i.e. the pleasure boats that take you from the beach to the lighthouse. That's the concession here. He has 2 fast ribs down there. They hold 15 people each approximately and take you for a nice trip out to the lighthouse. It's safe, you don't get really wet unless it's a real sort of a roughish day. He is the second coxswain of Yarmouth lifeboat, so he knows what he's up to down there. And then you've got the 2 big pleasure boats that hold 60 and 90 seaters, but obviously due to social distancing those numbers are less. We've also got a number of other things on the side here. We've got our sweet manufactory. You can go get a chance to watch the sweets being made here. That's a genuine Isle of Wight sweet, obviously made here on site. You get a full talk and demonstration on how we make the sweet, and then you get the opportunity to go through into the shop at the end and also consider whether you want to purchase some for either yourself or for gifts to take back as they're made on the island. If you've been here before, or if you're not aware, we've also got a glass factory on site where we make our homemade hand-blown glass. It's great for reasons of education as well. We get many school parties here to learn how glass is made, all about fibre optics as well, how that works out. We're all on internet and things now, how it stretches out. You do get a full talking demonstration and you watch the glass makers, how they can make the glass, and then you can make your way through to the glass shop to purchase any of the pieces they've made throughout the winter and in through into the summer. There's a couple of areas on site that we're not going to be able to open on the 12th of April. I'm just reminding at the moment the site is closed, but from the 12th of April, like we all hope to open, we all hope to see some visitors coming back. On the 12th of April, we've got a reasonable amount of our site opening up, including the chairlift for safe distancing, including the glass shop will be opening, but we're not carrying out demonstrations to public. They can walk through the studio and straight through into the shop, so it's a retail shop opening, and the same with the sweet factory. Not demonstrations on the 12th of April, you can see the sweets being made and walk through the factory, no demonstrations straight into the shop. We've also got our main retail shop opening. In the main retail shop we cater for Taste of the Wight. That's a new addition to our site a couple of years ago, where I feel I'm an island born person, and like one or two of you mentioned today, it's great to have an opportunity to sell some products that we actually make here on the island. And in this shop we've got called Taste of the Wight. We try and draw in as many products that's right for us to sell on site, as in if it's a sealed ornament, like we sell all the island ales, that's Goddard's, Yates's and island ales as well. We sell Godswill cider in there, the local cider being made. We sell all the garlic farm ranges. We sell honey, Isle of Wight honey, Isle of Wight jams, right the way down through the whole list of things that we feel we can sell. We put in Taste of the Wight to make it a great visit for visitors, and even islanders start to come out here now because they can get all their island products in one unit now. Now the Taste of the Wight unit itself will open on the 17th of May, but you can purchase some of the parts in the main retail shop on the 12th of April. So if I'm confusing you with the date. But we have got a large proportion of our site up on the 12th, including outside catering, so you can get snacks and hot drinks. That's going to be available. As I say, there's the smaller rides will open for the children with social distancing as well. The hygiene side of public conveniences and areas like that are being monitored throughout the day, and we have our special hygiene team that go in and around the site to make sure all places are safe. I've heard it mentioned from one or two already, sanitising, mask wearing, all that's obviously essential, and that's going to continue. And in most places of our site we've got screens to divide the staff and the customers. So we've done a lot of hard work this winter to try and keep the Needles landmark itself as safe as we can, and we do hope that everyone that comes here has a nice stay visit and enjoys their stay. Our staff are all very customer care orientated, trained to make sure that the visit for the visitors is as pleasant as possible, and we hope that you all enjoy your visit here. I've just mentioned to the coach drivers when they arrive, you do get given a ticket in the coach as you park up. That then goes to the main office and you pick up like a booklet there which entitles you to some refreshments and food. Ideally though, the coach needs to arrive by 3 o'clock in the afternoon to allow time for your visitors to have a look round. After 3 o'clock the ticket's not issued out. So I do hope that all of you probably already visited the Needles landmark here. I didn't have a presentation because I was put on the spot a bit at the last moment, so hopefully I'm making it interesting for you just to know what we're doing here. And if you haven't been, I would definitely recommend a visit here to the Needles. As you can see behind, that's one of the backdrops from the end that we get to see. That's the western tip side. If you look behind Will now, his backdrop, you can see the sun setting in the western side. So he's on the other side of this picture. You can see the chairlift going down. It takes 2 people for each chair. We do cater as much as possible for disability people as well, but I have to mention that it's a continuous moving ride, so we have to take that into consideration as well. In other words, it doesn't stop at all once you start it in the day. There is an occasion it will stop, and that would only be in an emergency situation. So I hope I've made the presentation of the Needles here as interesting, and don't forget our sister site, Sandown. They're both here. There's probably some questions you might need to ask at the end, but until then, hopefully you've enjoyed the chat for now. Thank you.
Okay, Mike, thanks for that. It's nothing quite like a trip to the Needles. For those of you who know me, and those of you who are just about to know, I am a bit of a mini golf fan, and I do like a bit of mini golf out at the Needles. And I have, when they opened Sandham Gardens down in Sandown, although my kids tell me that it's not true, I did get a hole-in-one, and I am, top player down at Sandham Gardens for mini golf. So there we go. So last but by no means least, and he's been waiting on his bus for the last 10 or 15 minutes to do that. I'll hand you over to Richard Tilsley from Southern Vectis. He's our general manager here on the island. Over to you, Richard.
Thanks, Will. Can someone just let me know they can see the screen there that I'm sharing? I've got a thumbs up, so we'll go with that. Right, I'll try to keep it short and sweet and not ramble on too much, because if people have got any questions at the end, we can go through that. Right, so we're Southern Vectis, the island's bus company. We operate an extensive network across the island. Hopefully you can see on your screen there the map of our routes. We operate kind of 2 sets of routes: a core local bus network, which gets many people for leisure commuting and many tourists every year from A to B in points around the island. We operate regular buses from all of the ferry ports. Certainly for foot passengers, the only place we don't really hit during the day is Fishbourne Car Ferry Terminal, but it's a short walk up to the end. But we do meet the foot passengers from Ryde, either from the Hovercraft or from Wightlink, and in Cowes and East Cowes for Red Funnel, and in Yarmouth for Wightlink as well. The second set of routes that we have are our kind of seasonal tourist routes, some of which are open top. And I think my next slide, if it was, Mike was just sharing about it there, in terms of the Needles Breezer, is one of our most popular open top bus routes. It actually was voted one of, I think it came second, best scenic bus route in the country in the last few years. And it really is an amazing ride if anyone's ever been on it. It starts out in Yarmouth and it meets the ferry. So people can come over on day trips, or they can get dropped off in the coach park there. And it takes a scenic route around Freshwater and Totland, and then climbs up to Allen Bay at the Needles Pleasure Park, where you can get off and go and see all Mike's attractions. And then you can get back on, and then the bus has a exclusive access that drives up the Needles to the old battery, where you can get out and go and look at the Needles from the 2 different views, go to the shop, go to the cafe, do what you want, and then come back down again. And I think there's a photo there showing the view on the way back down of the different coloured sands in the on the side of the hill there, and it really is spectacular. On the other side of the island, on the east side, we have the Downs Breezer, which starts in Ryde and comes out round the Brading Downs into Sandown Bay, Bembridge, St Helens, and back around into Ryde. That's not as long-standing as the Needles Breezer, but it's increasingly popular every year. That's also open top. Again, good for day trippers coming in from Ryde. Again, there's a coach park there, or it could be something, if all the hotels that are in the Sandown Bay, if the coach driver has a day off and you want to let people go off and do what they want, going out and jumping on this bus really is a good way to get around, and they can jump up and off all day, and we'll talk about tickets in a bit. But we have some other seasonal routes. We have Tapnell Farm is an increasingly popular area out on the middle road, so kind of like the middle of the West Wight. So Route 27, it takes you up there from in the summer months only, and then Route route, the Shanklin Shuttle, which is, it's not on that map there, is a little bus that we have that runs up and down from the Esplanade in Shanklin up to the Old Town and the New Town in Shanklin, and is very popular for people staying in hotels to get down to the Esplanade, either when the lift isn't working or when it's not reasonable for someone to use it. In terms of tickets, we have a wide range of ticketing options, and I've put them on the screen there. I won't go through them individually, but you can buy day tickets, 48-hour tickets, 7-day tickets, 30-day tickets, and multi-day tickets, so you can use it non-consecutively. Concessionary passes, if people live in England and they're over 65, generally they'll have an English National Concessionary bus pass, and that gets them free access to all of our bus services on the island after 9:30 Monday to Friday and all day weekends and bank holidays. If they're not from England or outside of those times, we have a special deal on the breezes, where it's £7 for an over 60. And in terms of payment methods, on all of our buses, we accept cash and contactless bank cards or devices. New later in, probably in July this year, we're launching what we call tap on, tap off, which is similar to what you experience in London, where you don't actually have to buy a ticket. You just use your contactless device and tap on as you get on and off as you get off, and the back office automatically sorts it out and bills you for the correct amount, making it easier in taking that obstacle out of travelling. We have a mobile app and a new mobile app coming out next month as well, the Southern Vectis mobile app, where you can do journey planning, buy mobile tickets, all the ranges just looked at, get your timetables up, access real-time departure information, and track your buses on the map so you can be quite confident where it is. We have a modern, environmentally friendly and accessible fleet of buses. Some of our newest ones are on your screen there. Most of our buses meet Euro 6 standard, which if you're a coach operator, you probably know what that is. But for people who don't, there is a Euro rating for large vehicle engines, and Euro 6 vehicles are extremely clean diesel engines. To give you an idea, the engine on the bus we're seeing there, just was nobody on, compared to a standard car, a Ford Focus, for example. That bus emits 8 times less particulates than the car, but the bus can obviously carry, you know, upwards of 75 people, and cars generally carry 1 or 2 people. So you can see the real big difference there is there. In terms of accessibility, all of our vehicles on the island are fitted with audio-visual next stop announcements. So as you're driving along, there's an automatic announcement and that speaks to you and comes up on the screen on the upper and on the lower and upper deck to tell you what the next stop is. We also feature points of information in there, such as tourist attractions, etc. Many of our buses offer free USB charging on the backs of seats, as well as other mod cons, such as some of our buses have Wi-Fi, comfy interiors, etc. We talked a bit about the map, the mobile app earlier on, but both our website and app, you can buy tickets, do journey planning, find out your timetables, get real-time departure and bus tracking, and also access to our customer service should you have any more information. On top of that, we have 2 travel shops on the island. We have one in Newport bus station and one in Ryde bus station. Both get very busy with tourists over the peak summer seasons. You can go in there, and there are also tourist information points as part of that we do in conjunction with Visit Isle of Wight, and the team in there are all trained to be able to give out information and help people find a day out that they want to do. And that's my end slide. And the only thing I've not really mentioned COVID, because I'm trying to move on from it really, but just in terms of what we are doing and what we have been doing, all of our buses in the island and across the country really, we've increased touch point cleaning, so they get cleaned every couple of hours during the day in touch points. They all have hand sanitizer available on board. We've put special measures in to protect our drivers, taken extra space out around a bus station so people can social distance more. And we've promoted people buying tickets before they board, so they don't have to interact with cash and cards and things if they buy it on the mobile app or use contactless, and that's much safer. And that was it for me.
Thanks, Richard.
Any questions at the end?
Gives quite a lot of information about the buses. One thing, Richard, I failed to tell you was that they have a Christmas lights tour, which takes you around the island to see all the big famous Christmas lights, which is done for charity, if I remember correctly. And it goes around there. The final screen of Richard's presentation was Drive Less, See More. And I couldn't agree with that more, because I am fundamentally nosy. So I quite like to sit on the top of a bus and nosy across into people's gardens as we're driving around. And there's nothing quite like a double-decker bus or a breezer bus to be able to do that. So get yourselves on board as well, I would say. I'm just going to sum up very, very briefly, because I know we've been on here for quite a while, and then hand over to Karen, who will facilitate the Q&A. Basically, when destinations tell you they have something for everyone, they're probably telling you what they think is true. Come to the Isle of Wight, we actually have something for everyone. Yeah, we are an amazing location. People always ask me, what's your favourite place to travel to or go to? That's like asking a parent who their favourite child is. So all I would say is that if I was to do one thing on the Isle of Wight, I would go to Bembridge and I would buy one of the famous sausage rolls that are created by the butchers in Bembridge. James Martin, the celebrity chef, came on the island, and he said, after he'd eaten one, he says, if I could issue Michelin stars for sausage rolls, this would get 3 Michelin stars. So one thing to say is, go to that butcher's. There's now one in Newport, and Mr. Tilsley actually owes me a sausage roll out of there for that. But go to this place, sausage roll, and you tell me if you're disappointed, and I will refund you. Yeah, because you will not be disappointed. So on that note about sausage rolls, and as I say, you can tell it's all food with me. I'm going to hand over to Karen, who will facilitate the Q&A for us. So thank you to Team Isle of Wight for joining us today, and thank you to you for joining us today.
Thank you, Will, and everybody from the Isle of Wight. That's been really interesting, and thank you for everybody for staying on to listen to it all. It's an opportunity to ask some questions, so if you want to put some in the chat. We haven't got any at the moment. Mercedes from English Heritage has put a note to say to give the link to the group travel guide on the website, if anybody hasn't seen that. And I see a question just coming in. But just before that, I've been visiting the island since I was a child. I've brought my children back and my grandchildren. And I was on one of the first hovercrafts that operated. And in those days, your feet used to get wet. I don't think it happens these days, or it certainly didn't on my last trip. But the island is a great place for everybody. Okay, so the question we've got here is from Kevin Hunt. Read the buses, Richard. So this is for Richard. Many international students will not have an NUS card. They will all have a BRP card confirming they're on a student visa. Is that accepted for concessions? And if so, are your staff aware of this? So Richard, this is from Kevin.
Thanks, Karen. Kevin actually messaged me directly on here, so I've just replied to him. But the answer effectively is, if they are 19 or under, they will automatically qualify for the relevant discount of 25 or 50%, depending on what their age is. If they're over 19, we only currently accept the NUS or the various schemes of NUS to get the qualifying discount. But it's something we can certainly take away and have a look at.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much.
I have a question whilst we're waiting for anybody else. Again for Richard, the bus service that runs from Ryde, for example, how long do those routes take? So say I wanted to go from Ryde to Robin Hill, for example, what's the journey time by bus?
God, you're testing my knowledge now, aren't you, Elaine? So it depends from, what I would say is that use our fantastic journey planning facilities on our website or our mobile app, but that's the best way to get it. But if you're going from Ryde to Robin Hill, it's probably quicker. You can use Route 8 to come all the way round, which if you've got time is a fantastic scenic route, and I'd recommend it. Otherwise, you get Route 9 down to Newport, which is about 25-30 minutes, and then get the route up to Robin Hill, which is probably about another 10 minutes or so. So, give yourself a bit of interchange, 45 minutes or so. But again, use our route planner online, and that gives you the best idea. Or if you don't use our route planner, use Google. That's what I use generally.
Yeah.
I would just like to say that the island is not massive, and the journey times are not huge around the place. When I got my new job and based in Newport, which is 5.5 miles away from where I live, somebody said to me, "What, are you really going to travel that distance every single day? 5 miles to work every day?" And I said, yeah, you know what? I think I might be okay with that. So if you can't get lost here, if you find the coast, that's as far as you need to go, and then you need to turn around and go back and have a look and find out exactly where you are. So journey times are not massive around the island, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's quite, I think you always sort of think about taking your car and having the accessibility when you're there, but just seeing that on a map and seeing how many places you can get to by the service it stops that barrier of not taking a car if you don't want to do that. So I was impressed with that.
I've just got one question for Mike at the Needles. Are you open all year? Because I visited in October and the chairlift wasn't running.
Yeah, no, what I can mention actually, and another important thing to add to that is that the opening time, at the moment we're totally closed to visitors. The whole site's closed off. We've even got the car park closed. So there's not many spaces to park at all as we speak. But from the 12th of April, a lot of the site will open from the 12th of April this year with social distancing and masks, and we hope to stay open for as long as possible. Now in most years, previous years gone by, we've stayed open right up to Christmas, and we've had a Christmas grotto. We've closed for like Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and we've reopened again and then closed New Year's Day. So we're planning it out and seeing how the lockdown works, how the visitors come to the site, on the hope that we can keep things rolling over. It's almost an all year round attraction, but the big rides like the chairlift and the smaller rides close at normally the end of October after half term. So our main season really is probably from, should we say, the 1st of April to the 31st of October. There's an estimated time for the whole site, or as much as we can get open safely at the moment. And then we go into winter mode, where we normally in the winters keep the restaurant open, the glass making factory, the sweet factory, because we need to carry on making products for the following year, and the main souvenir shop in the winter months. So it's a whole site nearly all year round really now, not just a seasonal employment place. The bit I did forget to mention, it might be of use for you all to know, quite often we get asked here, how much does it cost to come into the Needles landmark? So that the answer to that question, which I didn't mention earlier, it's free. You don't pay anything to come into the Needles landmark, but you do have to pay to park your car if you travel in by car. And the car price is £6 unlimited parking all day here at the Needles landmark, which we feel is reasonable, and that will give you an opportunity to stay. Also through August, if we have firework events this year, that £6 unlimited parking for that day will include that stay for that day as well, including all the entertainment we have.
Great,
okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, back to you, Elaine. I think no more questions.
There's one question in there from Kevin, car hire. There are car hire companies on the island. One is specifically we have Enterprise on the island, and they'll deliver. They also run a thing called Car Club, where you can actually, for example, I believe that a Car Club sits next to you from the hovercraft, and you can actually pick up Car Club and travel around the island, and it's a sort of use it for a couple of hours and leave it sort of thing.
That's exactly it, Will. It's just literally as you walk off the hovercraft, the cars are waiting there opposite for you. You download the app, and I think with your phone it actually opens the car for you and all that sort of thing. So it's really straightforward, and you can have it for like 10 minutes, half an hour, the whole day, whatever.
And most car hire companies will deliver to the various ferry terminals for you to pick up on if you want that as well. And at the moment, we are actually running a pilot scheme of e-scooters. So there are 200 e-scooters on the island where you can actually, I've not been on one yet because my wife thinks I'm going to fall off and break my leg, but you've got these e-scooters where you can actually tap that with the app, get on the e-scooter, and if you ask Mr. Tilsley, he might share the fact that he's actually done it, but he's not too keen to share too much about it, I don't think.
It's an excellent way to travel if you don't want to get the bus.
That's a good one, yeah.
Excellent. Thank you all very, very much. I really appreciate all of your time, and I think it's nice to hear it all in the context of each other. I think there's something, and Will hasn't paid me on anything for this, but I think there's something really special about the Isle of Wight. It's got a real special holiday feel, and I only live in Southampton, but just getting on the ferry or the hovercraft, and the moment you get on the water, something kind of happens, and you relax, and so I would highly recommend a visit as and when you can. I just wanted to do a little bit of a roundup really, just to say this recording will be available on the excursions website from tomorrow, if not before. We are working on excursions 2022, which is going to be at Twickenham Stadium, for those of you who haven't heard me say that a lot of times, and we're very excited about moving there, and an easy date to remember as well. And then we do still have the excursions website running, which is a resource for you as group travel organisers all year round. So you can still browse all the exhibitor profiles, including those that have spoken today. You can still download the digital brochures all year round. You can watch the videos, including this one. You can register for future familiarisations, which will be once a month on the last Wednesday of the month. And you can subscribe to the e-newsletter that we send out if you haven't already. Also, hot off the press is, oh, you can't see it because of my backdrop. Oh no, hang on 1 second. Typical, hang on. Our 2021 Group Travel Guide for South East England. So they should be landing on doormats shortly and available digitally. So look out for those coming soon. So thank you all very, very much for your time. It's been a long one, but hopefully very, very worthwhile. And we would like to see you all on the next one at the end of April, which will be for Winchester. So thank you to Will, thank you to all of you from all of the attractions, and we will see you all again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.